Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 171 of the Man Who Hates the Town podcast. This is for the week of October 12th through 18th, 2020. My name is Tim Beeman.
My name is Ray Morgan.
And I'm Leah Metz.
What was that? And we're opening the recipe box. We are recording this episode of the Man Who Hates the Town in Less Desirable Studios South, a.k.a. my house. You'd think we've been drinking. We are practicing social distancing and using Zoom, sponsored by Bull's Tavern. We will have one guest today. We will have Street Team Steven on the show today. We look forward to talking with him. Like last week, after we've done with the podcast, West End Cafe announced that they were reopening their dining room on October 19th, which is next Monday, so we still at least get to announce it before they actually do it. They will be closed this weekend prior to make sure that they do a deep clean and sanitization and prepare for the big day. Of course, social distancing protocols are in effect and with 50% capacity and so on. I'm going to check and make sure. I had a message from John McLemore, who is the...
generally at lunchtime and at dinner, man, they are just swamped because the food is always so consistently good. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that they're open again. I know there's a bunch of people going, oh, let me go ahead and make that schedule for next week.
Yes, let me see. Yeah, so that was all of it. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything I was missing. So again, West End Cafe announcing they are reopening next Monday, the 19th of October. 1703 is celebrating 20 years, so congratulations to Molly and her crew over there for such a milestone and such a crazy time.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's and you know,
even that's a milestone after 20 years.
Yeah,
that's remarkable.
And you know, it's kind of tucked away, so if you don't know it's there and you don't follow them on social media and you don't listen to us talk about them, it's hard to miss them. So I'm glad that they are celebrating 20 years, and I hope they have 20 more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and with a name like 1703, that's not the first thing that comes to mind isn't food.
Right.
So, yeah, if you've heard of them and you don't know what that means, yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously, the word's gotten out.
It means good food, especially mac and cheese and the orzo pasta salad. Let me just tell you, that shit's good.
Nice. I like this shit.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I use them for catering, and every time I use them, I make sure that orzo pasta salad is on the menu. Thank you very much.
Josh Trussler announced that they have their permit, and it's almost time to get your ramen on. So we are one step closer. He is preparing to take some pre-orders, and I don't know. I looked on their page. I believe his contact information is on there. It's a $20 minimum order, which is not a whole lot, but you get a lot of food, I'm pretty sure, and he's making the pasta and everything, the noodles and everything himself. So
Cool.
He's been talking about this for a while. I think that they're finally getting it to a point where he's going to start delivering soon.
Cool.
The Dine 52 raffle is on at the Second Harvest Food Bank, Providence Industries, all that stuff. Only 500 tickets are being sold, and your chance to win 52 dinners for two from some of the best eateries in town is on. And with only 500, your chances are really, really damn good. That's right. Dinner for two every week for a year. or 52 days in a row. It's according to, you get the cards, you do what you want to. Visit dine52.org. It's dine52.org to buy your raffle ticket now through November 16th. This is breaking news. I wish I had breaking news sound. The Slanted Shed, which Leah and I found out about this Thursday. I'm only going to say that part. But the Slanted Shed is announcing, well, folks, this is it. The final week of operation for the Slanted Shed. When I decided to open a food truck in the summer of 2017, I never would have thought I'd be announcing our permanent closure just 5 days shy of our 3rd anniversary. I also never could have imagined that a global pandemic would create an economic climate which has forced the closure of 1 in 5 small businesses. C'est la vie, right? First and foremost, thank you to everyone who ever came to the window and ordered, hired me to cater an event, came to compliment me after they enjoyed their meal, and came up to share their complaints when they didn't. And finally, to all those in my life who offered their support and encouragement when I began to hatch this crazy-ass plan of mine. Thank you. It all meant more to me than you could ever really know. It may have been a chicken sandwich for you, but to me it was a lifelong dream, and every single one of you played a part in helping me realize that dream. The final day of operation will be the coming Sunday, October 18th. My plan is to take 100% of our sales from that day service and split it up equally between my 3 employees. They have been right there with me throughout all the ups and downs, pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into this thing as if it were their own, and they deserve it. We'll also be open to our regular hours this week, So if you've been craving a chicken sandwich or a smash burger, you'd better get it while you can. Lastly, I'd like to issue a special thanks to my wife, Whitney. I never could have done this without her standing beside me, holding it down like a boss while I was out chasing my dream. So yeah, I guess that's about it. As Willie Nelson once said, turn out the light, the party's over. And instead of putting it at the beginning, he put the TLDR tag on here that says, the Slanted Shed is closing. If you want stuff to face one more last time with one more last sandwich, get your ass down to the fish before 6 p.m. on Sunday. So there you have it. The Slanted Shed is closing up shop. It's completing its tenure at Fiddlin' Fish. It's completing its 10th time as being a food truck. For those of you who are looking for a food truck, there may be one available. So Leah and I know what is going in its place, but we are not able to talk about that right now. So let's call that a cliffhanger.
Ooh.
A little something that you'll hear about later.
Yes.
For some of the rare times I'm actually in the know. It's exciting. And I know it'll be short-lived.
You hate to hear that they're not able to make a go of it.
Mm-hmm.
You hate to hear any business going out.
Yeah.
But if you're not able to sustain, it's easier to get out now than it is to try to keep forcing something that's not going to work.
Yeah. Tough choice, for sure.
It certainly is.
Well, and even tougher for a food truck because you've got to rely on somebody else to give you a good space. You've got to partner with somebody to really make that work.
Well, the thing with them, they actually took residency at Fiddlin' Fish, so they didn't have to move. It was there.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're constant.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, I don't think they even had to worry about commissary. They could use the facilities there around, I think, for that, because I don't know that they moved at all. So they may have. I don't know how that works, but I know that that's where they were at Fiddlin' Fish, and this Sunday will be the end of that. Monday, this past Monday, after the podcast, my son Trey and I took a trip to Mottsville and visited a friend of the show, Mr. Brandon Cassidy, at the new Food Freaks Unique Burger Company location. We both had the fair wheel, which is what he generally serves at the fair. It's a patty with sriracha maple bacon sauce.
What?
Yeah, bacon jam, I'm sure. Cheese, caramelized onions, and it's between two Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh.
No. Don't knock that. I'm not one for donut buns either, but these were good.
Okay.
Described you that way, Tim.
No donut buns for me, y'all. Now, I will admit that we messed up, and I realized it, and Brandon realized it too late. Trey and I both got doubles, and that burger has no business being a double burger.
Donuts don't hold up to that much patty.
No, they do not. There is the balance is completely thrown off. Brandon said he almost said something, but made it anyway because it's me. He figured that I ordered it special for a reason. I told him to never shy away from telling me if something is off base with my, or really any food journalists and their ordering. Our job as food journalists should be to bring awareness and positivity to the vision of the restaurateur. And he said, okay, he'll keep that in mind. That being said, I ate it with a fork and a knife after the initial attempt to consume this failed. So it was a messy something, which was the point. He even said, he said, this is the messiest burger I have, and I've had some messy burgers from him. So I agree, this was probably the messiest. I had the potato salad. What?
How much of that burger ended up on your shirt?
Not a bit somehow, which is odd because generally, I am my grandmother's grandchild and I end up with something on my shirt. So
yeah.
Yeah, but this stuff is so good, you're going to hoover every bit of that.
Oh yeah, and I do anyway because I inhale my food. It's like I have a flip top head and I just shovel it into my mouth. But so I had the potato salad with this, which is the special, like basically a loaded baked potato type salad. He made it with Yukon Gold potatoes instead of just regular Idaho because they hold up a little bit more and they still absorb the flavor. I don't know what was all in the potato salad. I was truthfully just wanted to eat this. So I did. I took pictures, but we ate outside and we were under one of those yellow things, so all the pictures look like it's jaundiced. And and it wasn't a pretty picture either one. I mean, the food looks good, but it's yellow. So that just means that yeah. So it means I'm going to have to go back out there, and then whenever I go, I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to take pictures from under that in the sun if it's sunny. I hope it is, or inside with my light if not.
Maybe he'll get you back in the kitchen. You could take a picture of all sorts of orders as they're coming out.
That would be
good,
the
food there is phenomenal.
If Brandon would be okay with that, I certainly would do it. But he was really cool. He talked with Trey and I for a little bit, and Trey is finishing up, I believe, this past week may have been his last class where he now is in internship. So I have to ask him. I don't get to talk to him as much, but we had a really good time. And Brandon offered. He said, if you need anything, internship or whatever, just let me know. So that was really cool. We also had the tuna nachos, which I loved the seasoning on the tuna. It was still raw enough because that's how I like my tuna. It's still raw enough that I got the tuna flavor, but I love the seasoning and the The nacho things on it were fantastic too. It had a really good creamy sauce. So I do recommend, if you've got time, I know it's not in Winston, although Food Freaks does come to Winston, the actual, I can't say brick and mortar, the warehouse-like place is on, it's in Statesville Street or States something Street in Moxville. 740, I believe, is the address. Basically, get off of 40 if you're coming from Winston, turn left, go to 64, turn left, and it's, second driveway on your right. Go there.
Easy to find, easy to get to. It's just a couple minutes off the interstate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a lot of tastings this week, Leah. We tasted a lot of stuff.
It was a good day to eat. Or a good week to eat.
Yes, it was. We went to Mojito because they opened on Friday. We went Thursday. We got an advance preview. We were hoping Mr. Ray would have gotten to go with us, but he had some pastoral things to handle. Unfortunate pastoral things to handle, but he still handled it. That's doing his job. He's good at it.
And we ate for you, so,
Hell yeah, we did. After I talk about how pastoral you are, hell yeah, we did.
Amen.
Can I get an amen?
Wait, I'm looking forward to having my own shot at that food. Tell us more.
Well, we started with
in the beginning.
In the beginning, just keeping on that theme, there was pork belly and pork skins.
Pork with pork.
Pork with pork, yes.
You can't go wrong with that.
No, this was the Chicharron Duo. The first picture that I posted on Instagram was the popped version, which is what we call pork rinds here. And it was tossed in a salty house seasoning and then topped with this mojito sauce. It's a house-made sauce. And Leah and I both agreed that we could just have that. I'd take shots of it.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff was good.
So it's basically parsley and cilantro, garlic, lemon, lime juice, salt, pepper. Yeah. And just blended and pureed and
all in the right combination.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, and then tossed on some pork. I mean,
you're gonna go in and get a gallon of that next time, right?
I'll just take a container. Can you fill this up?
Yeah, take a thermos.
A thermos.
Here's my growler. Fill this up.
I'm sure she has several of those. So can you fill this up with that? The other part of the Chicharron Duo was the pork belly, and that was also tossed in the house seasoning and the mojito sauce. I think I speak for both of us, Leah, that we could have had a whole plate of just that, and we would have been that happy with the sauce. Yeah, happy is not even a word for it. Ecstatic.
The only thing that I was disappointed about that dish is that there was only 2 pieces, and I was like, if I stabbed him with my fork, can I get both pieces in my mouth before he eats?
Well, luckily for me, it was plastic fork.
I mean, that, I just, like, my mouth is watering right now.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yes.
I mean,
isn't another word for pork belly bacon?
I mean,
well,
but
no,
this was
bacon's a little bit different.
I mean, bacon's thin. This was like big old, like I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it was just huge. But yeah, he only brought us 2 pieces, and I was like, "Where's the rest of it?" I mean, I realized we got to eat some other stuff, but Tim can have that other stuff. I'll just bring some more of this, please.
Well, pork belly is uncured, unsmoked, and unsliced bacon, basically. So
Okay.
bacon is mostly cured. You can buy uncured bacon if you want, but it's smoked and sliced. Typical American bacon is cured with salt and also smoked. Pork belly has juicy fat layers wrapped around the meat. And I say, yes, I call that heaven. If there is a heaven, that's what it is. It's
That's what
wrapped
it
in
is.
it's wrapped in pork belly.
Bacon.
Up next came one of the things that I was most excited about whenever it got put on the table, and that was the ceviche. It's citrus marinated fish and shrimp with pepper, corn, hominy, cilantro, and tomatoes. All that covered with more of the seasoning and a mojito aioli and some tagine seasoning. And then they hand make their own fried tortillas, and that was underneath this. So for those who don't know what ceviche is, it's basically fish and shrimp that's not cooked, but it's soaked in acid, which is usually lime and lemon juice. And the acid cooks the protein. So it's cooked, but it's not traditionally what you would call cooked.
It's not heated.
Right.
Right.
There is no temperature to it. It's actually usually cold. They do it in the refrigerator, and the cold combined with the citrus juices make it this delicious combination. I love it. I had it when I went back on Friday for the official opening, and I went Saturday night and had it again. So I will say,
Place.
yeah, I will go ahead and say up front before I go any further, I love this place.
How do you really feel? You're holding back.
Yes,
Come on,
yes.
let it out.
Yes. So up next is what do you think about this ceviche before we go on, Leah?
So yeah, I'm not a fish eater or a shrimp eater. I just don't. Childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, let me be outside the box and actually try this. So it was good.
And I saw you go back for it a couple times too.
Yeah.
It was still
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I even told Mel, and she was like, "What? Are you feeling okay?" And I was like, "No, it was actually good."
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that for sure.
So up next was the jamon croqueta, which is basically ham croquettes. And traditionally, these are served with saltines and a lime. So guess what Michael gave us? Saltines and a lime. He also told us that the croquetas that we had are also put on the Cuban Deluxe. So I'll talk more about the authentic Cuban here in a minute, but the Cuban Deluxe, which is the Cuban Plus, has the croquettes on it, the croquetas, the jamon croquetas. And I think we both agreed this was our least favorite thing, but as I said also, our least favorite thing was still damn good.
It was good. Well, and you really needed a beer or two. Like that would be the balance on that, in my mind. And it was, it was lunchtime, so we didn't have the pleasure of having a beer with that. So, but I can definitely see sitting at the bar and drinking a beer and having those. So yeah, for that to be the worst thing, it was actually fine.
Well, and
I was going to say, Tim's boss doesn't give him any grief for having a beer with lunch.
nope, Tim's boss encourages it.
I say he'll buy Tim a beer.
Yeah,
That's that. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll have to put in a concern to my boss here in a minute. Schedule a meeting with myself to complain.
Well, to our credit, Leah, croquetas are generally bar food in Cuba, so it would definitely go well with beer.
Yeah.
Up next is the most excellent pork tamale, and it's cornmeal dough wrapped in corn husk and steamed. It's topped with black beans, fried onion straws, mojito sauce that we keep talking about, cilantro, lime cream, and cotija cheese. I think we both remarked to Michael, Leah and I did, about how we're used to, Leah more than me, I don't eat tamales that often, but how we're used to the cornmeal being gritty and granular. But this was not that. This was smooth like velvet. It was, and all the flavors meshed and melded well. It was, to me, the consistency of the cornmeal inside was like really smooth mashed potatoes. It was, but a little more solid. Mashed potatoes can run, but these were a little thicker than that. But it was
almost.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I almost would say almost like cake, even though it's not. I mean, the texture or I don't know. And he was describing to us the process that he goes through to do that with hot water and stuff to make it not mealy and the grittiness. And I remember making those as a child, and that took freaking forever. And then you would like eat them in a second. And so that it was just so good what he brought to us. I was like, wow. Like I've never had a tamale be so, I don't know, just delicious.
I said
especially in texture.
Yeah, I said the tamale is kind of like a wedding. You spend all that time preparing it and making a big deal out of it, and everybody's getting all dressed up for it, and then it's over in 10 minutes. So the tamale, you spend all this time in the boiling and the preparing and the letting it sit and set up, and then it's gone in 3 minutes. So it's so yeah. Another exciting food container laid on our table was the fried hand pie, which is and should be called an empanada.
Oh yeah, that was good.
We had the beef version, with a sort of tapenade. So it was a olive mixture inside there, acidic from the olives and the tomatoes, but man, such vibrant flavors here. I think we both could have gone through about 4 or 5 of those whole on our own. Yeah.
I mean, he brought us one, and I was like, I'm gonna have to stab him again so I can
hit him in the eye. I'm gonna punch him in the ovaries.
Look over there. There goes another tamale.
Sounds like we need to pull a chair into the kitchen and just sit there.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Feed me.
Yeah.
I'll take
Feed me,
that.
Seymour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feed me,
Let me taste every order going out.
Yes.
Little quality control on every.
Quality control.
Yes.
Yes, I volunteer for that role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am the QC manager. Another thing that we had that I had more of, I ordered some the Saturday night, was the street corn.
Oh yeah.
The flavors almost literally jump off the corn and into your mouth before you even get them in your mouth. It's acidic, it's spiced, and very tender. I mean, there was no fighting it. It came right off. Both of us go as we started eating it. We didn't even say anything. It was just
It was the quietest our table was.
Yes.
And then it was like, do you eat the whole thing? And it was like, well, it's already gone. So,
yeah. So it's got the cotija cheese on it. It's got spices on it. It's again, it was so tender. It was. I'm sure if you held it and just shook it, the corn would have fallen off of the cob. We wouldn't even had to work it. It was that good. Yeah. It was that well done. Then we had the mashed plantains, I think it was the mash. They have 3 different kind of plantains on the menu. They have the green one with tostones, served with mojito sauce. They have the maduro, the sweet ones with cilantro, lime, cream sauce, and the fufu, which is mashed with garlic and chicken broth. I believe that's the one we had. Although it was a little sweet to me, I thought that would have been a good dessert.
Yeah.
And it was actually the last thing you had.
Yeah, I left it till the very end. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely good. And I've not really had plantains like that. I've had like the chips,
Yeah.
but not at like that. So
Yeah, I've
I
had
was
them
actually,
fried.
yeah, I was definitely surprised by it, and I think I would order it again, and yeah, I'd probably order it as the dessert in the end.
Yes. Just save that to the end. Don't bring it until the end. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, then we had a trio of things. We had the mojito grilled chicken.
That was good.
Yeah, and I told Michael that chicken is probably one of the last proteins I go for in the regular meat rotation, but because you really have to season a lot, do some tricks with it, for it to come out other than just chicken. But it is versatile, so you can do a lot of things to it. But this was good at very minimal trickery. They had the chicken, and then you had the mojito sauce on it, and it was seasoned well, and you didn't have to do anything else to it. You can get this at Mojito with, you can get it 1/4 of a chicken with one side, half with 2 sides, or the whole chicken with 4 sides.
Oh.
So, yeah. Up next.
That's how you split.
Yeah. Yeah.
Split.
I'm sorry.
Uh-uh.
I'm like,
What you talking about, Ray?
You get your own. Split. You sit there and split. I don't think so.
So you split, and everybody's like, "What was that?" That was Leah.
Split.
that was really good.
The next thing on this thing was the ropa vieja, which is shredded beef in a tomato sauce, and so it's shredded slow cooked beef in a Creole tomato sauce, sliced olives, cilantro, and scallions. And don't let the Creole thing scare you. It's not overly spicy in any capacity. None of this was, and it was not spicy heat or spice. It's just delicious, and that's the thing. And I think he told us this on the show last week, and he told us again in person. Cuban food is not about heat. As
Right.
the Latin American stuff is more about heat, like the further south you go towards the equator. But Cuban is all about flavors. They throw a party with flavors every meal that they make. So this was fantastic in that fact that it was all the Creole spices and things going on there with the tomato is really acidic from that, but none of it was at all off-putting. It was all where it needed to be. The slow-cooked pork, basically just Cuban barbecue style pork without barbecue sauce. It was just the pork, shredded pork. The mojito sauce, like I said, is parsley, cilantro, lemon, and lime juices, vinegar probably, and garlic in there. It was just that on top of the pork, because pork. We even said that a couple times, because pork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my favorite, because this is those things can be done as entrees, but this was one of my favorite things on this plate, and it's a side. So this is the congri, which is rice and beans with pork belly. Yeah.
That was good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And when I went back on Friday and Saturday night, both, that was my side. That will always be my side.
Even the cat thinks pork is good.
That's right.
Yeah. Cat's like, you're talking about pork? I need to be in there.
Yeah. So it's pork belly, pork fat in the rice there with the black beans. It's just, again, porkalicious. What more do you need to know? There was damn pork in it. Put a pork in me. I'm done. So yeah. So I went back, like I said, Friday. I had the Cubano, which the beauty in the way that he does the Cubano, and really Cuban sandwiches in Cuba is like our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They're meant to be simple, greasy, comfort food. It's, a lot of places around town, I have stopped ordering Cubano sandwiches because they get too fancy. They use this stone ground mustard. They have the high-end ham, the Black Forest ham, and all this. He says, look, I use French's mustard. It's cheap. I use the cheapest pickles I can find that are still good. I use boiled ham, not that Black Forest stuff, and it's on real Cuban bread. And with the pork, the shredded pork on it too. He said that's...
He shared that's how he grew up having it too. So, that's how it always was.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't need all that fancy schmancy stuff. That's not what a Cuban is supposed to be. This was the best Cuban I've ever had. It's everything I was looking for in a Cubano sandwich. And they do a great job with it. Now,
we definitely enjoyed ourselves.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So good.
They kind of got their butts kicked Friday night. So much to the fact that he said they're kind of rethinking their strategy for brunch. They will have brunch, but they didn't have it Saturday or Sunday this time. They're having to, I think, when I say strategy, it probably means that they were out of a lot of stuff. So,
because they got
big crowds, they weren't expecting to see that much.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I went Friday, Christy Meyer, who is Triad Foodies food journalist, she actually lives in Boone now, but she was here in Winston, and she still has some things to do, I believe, with Yes Weekly. And she was there. And then when I went Saturday night, Chef Jeff from Providence was there with his family. I know Mary has been there. So the place is really, really picking up and taking off. There was not a shortage of people waiting to put their butts in seats on Saturday night. So I think Michael and Michelle have a wonderful thing happening here. And I hope that the town continues such tremendous support for them. I know they're going to get that from here on this show because, Michael won us over with his passion and then sealed the deal with his food on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, for me at least. All right, we have a special guest with us today. We don't have your normal getting in your business part, but I guess our business, his and mine, are going and trying places, giving them a thorough tasting, ordering a load of stuff, and just discussing it and talking it over. And one particular thing that I like a lot of the things hanging out with this person when we do this, but he is very knowledgeable on Asian cuisine, whether it's Chinese or Southeast Asian or Indian or Middle Eastern. So he spent a lot of time in those places. So he's always explaining to me what this stuff is, and then I go look it up afterwards. But it always gives me a good stepping on point. So let's introduce Mr. Stephen McDowell, who we know as Street Team Steven.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
So
my best Elvis. It goes downhill from there.
So Stephen, we have been several places. Most recently, the last two was 18 Malaysia, which I haven't posted about, and I need to do a little more research before I post because it's been. We caught that time when I was redoing the studio. I was in and out of places to do that and just totally forgot, truthfully. So it's hard for me. I'm going to go back and check those pictures because I think reading the descriptions and stuff, I can formulate those. But the most recent one was this last week. We went on Wednesday to the Katsuri Indian Cuisine, which is in the Pavilion Shopping Center right next. It's between Chuck E. Cheese's and Once Upon a Child. So
it used to be a different Asian restaurant, didn't it?
Well, the space right next to that did. It was Oriental Cafe. Yeah, so this space is in a different space than the other one.
But but really close to it.
Oh yeah, I mean right next door. Yeah. And we had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. we had 10 different things.
That's it?
Yeah, that's
it. Did you say that you ordered a load of food?
That's a technical term.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
It was exact science.
Not unusual for us, by the way. This is how we normally go about doing this stuff.
Well,
and I just forced Tim to say, "Look, you just got to take the leftovers home. That's the only rule."
Yes.
There. So
Yes, and we'll talk more about that too whenever we get around to a couple of these. So let's start with what we started with. We started with the basically the appetizer plate, the Katsuri Mila, which includes pakora. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
Which
pakora,
is veggies dipped in chickpea butter and deep fried. A samosa. This was the meat samosa, right? Pork or wasn't vegetable, right?
No, it was vegetable. It was potato.
Okay.
It was a potato.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The chicken tikka, which is boneless chicken marinated in yogurt and freshly ground spices and finished in a tandoor. And
Now, do you all know what a tandoor is? Because that's really important for Indian cuisine. Is the tandoor, especially Punjabi Indian cuisine, which this thing does a lot of, and that's that brick clay oven that gets really, really, really hot that they feed with charcoal. And so, like when you see tandoori chicken and stuff like that, that bright red doesn't have to be the color, but it's that oven that gets to like 800 degrees. And if you know exactly what you're doing, you can actually figure out what temperature you want by where it is in the tandoor. So, yeah.
And
so
that's also where
really
they put
quick.
the naan, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, they also make the bread in there and everything. I mean, they make use of it a lot. So, so that's a tandoor. So you're going to be hearing that word, I think, a lot here.
Yeah.
So.
And the how you say Sikh? Sikh? S-E-E-K-H?
Sikh.
Yeah, kebab, which is mildly spiced minced chicken done in the tandoor again. So there were a lot of flavors in that dish. And
then we had those two sauces, of which one you fell in love with, and I think you were going to take home with you. But the tamarind sauce, So they had a mint sauce, which is very common, and then they had a tamarind sauce made from the tamarind fruit. So it's a little bit acidic to it, a little tart, but they sweeten it up. So it's a good dipping sauce. Yeah,
it was very good, and it was sort of thick, but not like it wasn't like honey, but it was the viscosity was a little bit more than water, so it was right on. We moved then to the Khazana kebab platter. And that is the chicken reshmi kebab, chicken Sikh kebab, chicken tikka, and tandoori shrimp and delicious onions is what we put on there. You know, the onions in this tandoori seasonings and all that stuff was, man.
Yeah, they were addictive. They were really addictive.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have just eaten we did almost eat a whole platter of them.
yeah, because we pulled off a little bit of the meats and then kept getting the onions, and I noticed both of us kept going back to the onions as we were waiting on the next thing, just to pick one off at a time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flavors on that, though, it was just bursting with stuff. And you have to understand, too, it's a little warm. Indian food can get a little warm if you're not careful. I'm glad that we told them when they asked us, not necessarily for this, but for all of it, when they asked us our spiciness level, that we went with the medium, because we were starting to sweat a little bit just with the medium, or at least I was.
Yeah, no, I was too. A good sweat. It wasn't too bad, and not every dish was spicy. So it's not like you're always going to get spicy. That's they don't do that,
right?
You know, it's not. You know, so what the idea is, you have some stuff that's just very savory that isn't spicy at all, to mix in with some of the things that are spicy, so you can kind of moderate yourself as you go through. So
because you want to be able to taste the next thing.
Yes, you do.
I've always found that to be a problem when the places that, like, I call it gimmick stuff. Like, I love East Coast wings, but come on, that insanity sauce. I remember back when they only had the lava flow and magma, and I tried the lava flow. And I couldn't taste anything for like 4 hours. And I just had it on a little toothpick. I dipped the toothpick in there and tasted it, and I couldn't taste anything. I'm like, that's stupid. And then they go higher to the magma sauce, and then to the insanity sauce. And why? I mean,
yeah, I agree.
You can't taste anything after that.
Nope, exactly. I was at a Sri Lankan restaurant, and unlike Indian restaurants, Sri Lankan restaurants tend, because they're further south, they actually tend to like spicier food than anything I've ever had in India. And I went to a Sri Lankan place, and I don't know what I ate, but honestly, first of all, I just broke out sweating. I couldn't taste anything, and I was actually ill. I mean, it was so killer. I mean, well, there goes that meal.
Yeah. Do I have to pay for it still, even though I can't taste it?
Exactly. But that's not a problem with Ket Stir. They definitely, medium is perfectly good, and of course they can do mild as well.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about the further south that you go, like Central American countries and stuff, they like their stuff extra hot because it cools you down. Believe it or not, when you eat the hotter stuff, you sweat more. It cools you down. Your body temperature lowers actually. When you sweat more, so they eat food like that hot. I mean, because it is a regulating mechanism for them. Speaking of the naan and the tandoor, we had the garlic naan, and then we had the actual bread basket, which included. Let's see. We had the I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say it was onion. We definitely, that was one of our favorites. I think it was, again, back to the onions. Tell me about onions.
Because both of us said that one's definitely an onion one.
Yep.
More of the garlic naan and then the plain naan. But what was the red one?
Yeah, I don't know. But it was tasty.
Yeah.
It was really tasty. So it was like 5 or 6 different styles of bread. Not all naan either. Some naan, chapati stuff and whatever. So it's a really good way to introduce yourselves to all these breads, because India really is a bread culture, even though we think it's a rice culture. But a lot of places are really bread oriented over rice oriented. So they have as many breads as anybody else has breads. And really quite independent of each other. I mean, so it's a great way to do it.
According to the website, it's onion culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
stuffed,
that was
a stuffed bread. Yeah.
Is all that bread cooked in that oven?
Yeah.
Most of them would be, yeah. Okay. I would say that's very common. They cook the breads in the tandoor. Yeah. But they're quite different stuff. I mean, one was like crispy, like a pastry.
Yeah.
Like like we had before, like a prata or a prathana in Indian. So it's almost like a puffy pastry type of bread and stuff. I mean, I tell you, the bread variety in Indian cuisine is quite amazing, and that basket's a good way to start. But they had like 7 or 8 other breads on their menu that didn't come in the basket, so they have a lot of bread options.
Yeah. and we found ourselves also, using the bread as basically a wrap. We would fill the bread with and have wrap sandwiches basically of this Indian food. Up next, we had probably the most famous street food, the bar snack food, they call it in India, the chicken 65.
Yep.
It's marinated in onions, garlic, vinegar, and spices, then deep fried. Those are the ones we both said had a little bit of heat. That's when we both said, okay, I'm glad we just got medium.
Yeah. That might have been the spiciest dish that we had.
Yeah.
Maybe. So anyway, so that was a spicy dish. And by the way, the rumor is that the reason it's called chicken 65 is because there's supposedly 65 chilies per kilo of chicken when they make it.
Oh.
So, whoa. Yeah. So, yeah, well, now a kilo of chicken's over 2 pounds, so we didn't get that much, but that's a lot of chilies, and we were sweaty, so yeah. But it was a good flavor balance, though. It wasn't just hot; it had other flavors going on. That's the thing about Indian spices. Yeah, they really like to use about 10 or 15 spices in almost everything they do. Yeah. I mean, they love cumin and coriander and stuff like called fenugreek and all these things. So, and none of those are hot; they're all savory spices, but. You add the chilies to it, and then it gets hot and spicy and flavorful.
Yeah, and they looked similar to the chicken in the chicken tikka. Yeah. But there were subtle differences. I say subtle difference. There was a lot of difference. But
whack, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So both were very, very good. Then we had the Bangan Barda, which is a tandoor roasted eggplant, then mashed with tomatoes, onions, garlic, and ginger. And this was suggested to you, Stephen, by one of your friends or one of your Instagram followers or something. We both agreed we wouldn't have known this was eggplant if we hadn't read it in the description. And I liked it, and even though I'm not one for eggplant other than like a baba ganoush, I think this is basically the same premise as baba ganoush, although the stuff is much different. Baba ganoush doesn't have tomatoes or things like that in it, but
if you put there could be a style of baba ganoush that has tomatoes, but yes, it's roasted eggplant that's mashed with garlic and all these spices and stuff, and it looked like a lot like baba ganoush, except it was hot. It was warm, not cold, so I guess that's a little different. But I put it on my naan bread and pretended it was baba ganoush, so I had my pita and my baba ganoush, or I had my unpronounceable name and my naan.
Yeah. Bangan Barda. Yeah. It looked like someone had eaten it already, but it tasted so good. I really enjoyed it.
Quite a good smoky flavor. And again, what do? They put the eggplant into the tandoor to roast it. That's how they roasted the eggplant.
That tandoor is so versatile.
It is. It's just crazy. Yeah. So it was good. It was actually quite good. And that way we could pretend that we actually had a vegetable with our meal.
Yes.
Because we were rather meat centric, to say the least.
Well, we had onions. We had lots of onions.
We had a lot of onions.
So I'm going to get you to tell the story of biryani. What it is and why it's important to Indian cuisine.
Yes. So I think almost every culture has this style of dish. In the United States, we call it jambalaya. In Spain, it's paella. So what is biryani? It's the Indian equivalent of those dishes. It's a beautifully done, well-seasoned, not spicy at all, rice dish that they then basically marinate and cook whatever meat that you order with it inside of it. So so imagine your paella, imagine your whatever. So in this case, it was beautifully golden done rice with a lot of saffron in it, and of course other spices. And then we chose to have goat, which I'm sure Tim was going to comment upon the goat.
I was.
Yes, I know you will. But it's a very important culture dish because rice is a main staple, and then be able to have a single pot meal. And really, the most famous biryani is called Hyderabad biryani, Hyderabadian biryani, which I had in Hyderabad. I was in Hyderabad and actually had that. So, but everybody's got a version of biryani, and it's a very flavorful dish. I mean, again, there's just a lot of flavors going on, but this one wasn't spicy at all.
No.
It was it was a beautiful, nice dish to have with other spicy things. Yeah. So tell about your goat experience.
Well, my thing is I don't like whenever I have to pay extra attention to my food, like when they have bones in them. That's why I don't usually get whole fish. I want the fillets because I want the bones out. I don't like when I like to eat for enjoyment, not when I have to think about it. And I mean, I think about it, but I don't have to watch every time I chew, make sure I'm not going to break a tooth. And for the goat in this, like Steven said in there, in the restaurant, probably is the only of these proteins that they left the bone in. And our friend Nikki Miller-Ka says, the bones are there to slow you down, man. And I said, well, they certainly did. They certainly did. But all that being said, I love the flavor of the goat, and I love the flavor with the saffrons, the nuts, the raisins, and the other spices that they have in there. I just didn't like having to pay that much attention to every bite I took or every time I chewed.
And that's very common. Sorry, but that's very common. I found in a lot of Asian cuisine when it comes to goat, they rough chop it. They just chop it up in pieces and simmer it and do whatever. Obviously they think that the bones add flavor and stuff. So maybe next time we just ask them, could you take the meat off the bone and then put it back into the rice?
or we get one of the other, because you can get
we get chicken or lamb or anybody else.
Yeah.
But the bones they're hard. They're not like soft or.
No, they're hard.
They're crunchy.
They are. They're a solid bone. Yes, you're not going to mistake it for anything else.
I wouldn't like that either, Tim.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things you just get used to when you live. When you go to Asia, it's just like, that's just part of it. China and Japan, they do the same thing. They just chop pieces up in big hunks. They don't. They generally don't take it off the bone. They leave the bone and just chop up a chicken in just weird pieces that you never would recognize and serve it.
So with the goat, let's go back to the goat. With the goat, why would that be the only one that was bone in or just chopped like that, where the other ones would have been more just the protein?
Well, I think it's because if you think about a goat, if you've ever seen goats, there's not a lot of meat on them, per inch per se, versus like a cow or versus a pig or versus even lambs. I mean, you get that nice lamb shoulder, you get legs of lamb that has a ton of meat, right? Goats really don't have that much, so I think they really do it for two reasons. One, it's just easier, and two, bones do provide flavor, right, for it, and so it's just a cooking thing. But
the two biggest flavoring agents, natural flavoring agents, are fat and bones.
Yep. So I just think it's because of how the goat, basically that animal is, how you butcher it. It's just not easy to get real meat off of it. So it's easier to give you a big hunk and then you chew it off.
Yeah. I think I would have been okay with that had it been large bones.
But
you just bite into this.
Some of the bones were pretty small.
Yeah. It's like shards.
Yeah, it's ish. Yeah, that wasn't quite that bad, but
yeah.
But yeah.
Up next, we had the, how you say it, Dal Makhani?
Yes, Dal Makhani.
Dal Makhani, yeah.
Dal Makhani, yeah, that's one of my favorite dishes. That's a everybody loves that dish. That is, I can guarantee you order that and you will fall in love. It is basically a not very spicy at all. I would say almost zero. Basically a lentil, and in this case they added kidney beans to it, and it's vegetarian flavored, very friendly. Again, lots of savory spicing without having chilies and that stuff really detract from it. And it has a nice little gravy with it, so you can sop up. You get your naan bread, or you get one of those other breads. You kind of sop it up. You eat it. It's sweet. It's really kind of sweet. It's naturally, I think, from the onions probably and the beans, but yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I said, because I know this dish was made to be vegetarian. It's meant to be eaten vegetarian. It's basically, don't be disrespectful to the dish, but I could see this mixed with a lamb or pork, and it be a good mixture. I mean, just basically adding. And I know beef in India is probably a big no-no, but
that's a problem.
Yeah, but I think over here we can add stuff. I could see big chunks of like stewing beef put in there.
Yeah,
I think they would taste very good.
You could easily confuse it with black bean stew. They're not beans; it's actually lentils. The black part, but the red beans are beans. So I mean, it's at that consistency, and it's really good. And yes, it would make a great accompaniment for, basically, I think, really roast pork or pork. I think pork would really work well with that dish. Yeah. But, And
I know generally that the creaminess comes from, it's made with cream and butter, as well as the beans. I don't know how this one was made, but it had a creaminess to it. I don't know how much of the cream and butter was in there, but it was.
Well, I think butter, by definition, butter is almost always in it. But cream that's actually fairly unusual for cream. They'll sometimes put yogurt in and stuff like that instead of cream per se. But I think a lot of the creaminess we got, and I've made dal makhani myself in pressure cooker, is actually from the lentils. The lentils will break down, and they mash some of them up, to create a creamy, more, consistent, higher consistency to it. So I think a lot of it is that. But yeah, butter is, there's butter. Ghee, to be exact in this case. But
yeah. Ghee, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, ghee is, ghee is.
It's the butter fat, right? Or
the pure. Well,
it's fat's been removed.
It's separated butter. So they remove the whites, the solids that cause burning and stuff like that. So it's basically clarified butter that they cook with.
Yeah. Then we had the lamb vindaloo.
Yeah, my favorite.
And that was really, really good too. It's based. It's an Indian curry dish based on the Portuguese dish carne divina dalhos, which translates roughly to vine meat, whatever that means. But it's popular in Goa, Vasai, and the Konkan. Is that how you say it? The Kerala,
I don't know,
and other parts
Kerala,
of India.
Yeah. And these are all southern parts that were all colonized by the Portuguese.
Yeah.
So, the Brits weren't the only ones to colonize India. The Portuguese had a good section of land on their own as well. So, just like going to Philippines, and if you go to the Philippines, their national dish is adobo, which is also Portuguese. And the one thing they have both in common, and almost anywhere you go that's Portuguese, Macau, another example, which I've been to, is that it has vinegar added. The Portuguese love vinegar. So they basically incorporate the use of vinegar in almost a lot of their meals, and that got into the Indian culture. I mean, this is the only style of Indian food that has vinegar in it. So immediately if you're in that area, Kerala, Goa, etc., when you have a vindaloo and you taste that tang of vinegar, which is a great way to do it.
Yeah. So. And I think it was interesting when you were talking about this is how you warned me ahead of time. Because of the vinegar, it's going to be very acidic, and it's going to feel like it's going to be hot. But once the vinegar part goes away and the acid has gone from, it's very lovely as far as the spiciness level and all that. It's very good. I think that vinegar aspect of it makes it even more enjoyable because it gives you that upfront
rush,
pow, and then
Yep, exactly. So the vinegar is basically opening up your taste buds just for the amount of chilies that it has to bombard it for about 5 seconds, and then it all calms down, and it's just lovely. It's a fun little dish. Yeah. So,
and they had the basmati rice that came with it, and that made a bed basically of basmati rice, and then put that on there. And when I took that home that night, I had the rest of that for dinner that night because I had a podcast that night. So it was so good. And I think, the last thing that we had was the gulab jamun.
Yeah.
And it's basically reduced milk dumplings or donuts in a rose water simple syrup sauce with a bit of cardamom. The simple syrup was a fantastic wading pool for these tasty morsels. I would say this is probably my least favorite thing that we had, but it's still the same way with Leah and my tasting at Mojito Thursday. Even the worst thing we had was really good. So,
I'll be honest with you that it's an acquired taste because the consistency of the donuts aren't really donuts. They're soft, weird donuts.
Yeah.
Okay? Now the simple syrup and rosewater and cardamom is amazing, but
yes.
And I would say that I generally don't order these for dessert, but we were basically given to us to make sure we tried everything. And they were, I've had these many times before, and these were very authentic versions of the dessert. So, they executed it really well. And again, if you like, it was a crisp outside donut, but it was a little soggy, soft in the center, which is the way it is because it's a milk-based donut.
Yeah.
So, but I could almost take the simple syrup and just drink that. And,
that was the best part of it. Yes.
Yeah. But it was a good ending. It was a fine, nice way to cleanse the palate at the end. So with that rosewater cardamom.
So my question to Ray and Leah, because they didn't get to try this with us, what are your experiences or thoughts with Indian food in general? Do you like it? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Basically.
And for me, my experience with Indian food has been almost exclusively narrowed down to Nawab Indian cuisine and Golden India on the other side of town. I wasn't very impressed with Golden India, no offense intended, but their buffet, it's a buffet style, but I really wasn't impressed. I've enjoyed Nawab, but again, it's buffet style, and I'm not hearing anything that y'all are talking about. There's no buffet here.
No.
Yeah, there's a spot for a buffet, but because of COVID right now, they didn't, because they've only been open since August 18th.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, so I think there's an idea to have a buffet, but right now that's not the case. I prefer that there's not one.
Same here. I'm not a big fan of the buffets. I like having the dishes independently made, freshly made. You could order it and do it exactly how you want it. And so I find the quality of almost any food I order, including Nawab. I obviously go to Nawab as well, but I always order off the menu, regardless. So, and I do find the quality so much better than the buffet version that I've had a few times. So, if I can recommend anything, don't do the buffet. Go off the menu. And if you have any questions, I can give you some tips. But all the dishes we just listed here would be great ones anywhere. If you wanted to order some really good, a good variety, Maybe.
My next comment was thank you, because not being from India, not having had the travel experience that you've had, Stephen, I'm going in there going, what's that? So hearing y'all describe these dishes and going, oh, now that really sounded good. Oh, I'd like to try that. Now I've got a better idea of where to go.
Yeah, and you can use my Instagram feed for inspiration. I mean, seriously, you can see pictures of it.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Point. It's a new menu item. Point.
Well, I have the descriptions and everything in there too, so that helps. Leah, what about you?
Yeah, no, I have like no experience. I've been to Nawab once, and then right, and then I guess would you have considered kebabs on 4th?
Yeah, it was.
I look at it as Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not. We just don't frequent any place that doesn't have draft beer that's not local.
Well, I didn't.
That doesn't have anything to do with it, right?
I didn't look at the beer selection, but I know that they had one.
Okay.
Because when you walk in, there's a bar, full bar right there.
Yep.
So I'm sure they have something local, probably Foothills or something, which counts.
I know.
Yep.
Like the naan bread, though, I've had that, and actually have a friend that would make that, although they didn't have that oven or anything. So, I mean, I do like that, but yeah, everything you're describing, I'm like, I'm like, except for the bones, but everything else, I'm like, oh yeah, like we should go try that and go see. And definitely, to your point, I get that not doing the bar and just the buffet and just ordering, but definitely, yeah, I would want an expert to be with me to help point out a few things.
May I recommend helps, Steven?
Yeah. And I love spicy food, so I could get into that.
You will not be disappointed.
Yeah. So
I would still start with the 3 first, the medium.
Okay.
Just
to ease into it.
Yeah, and see how it goes, and
Yeah.
And I figure
you can always go back for a 4.
Yeah. I think you will like it enough that you would go back, and then you'd be able to intensify it a little bit if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody looking for a dinner date to go have Indian food, Steven's number is 336.
Cut him off. Where's the mute button?
Hey, call now and get your free Ginsu knives with that order.
Exactly.
8675309.
Yes. So I think it would be safe to say that we did recommend Katsuri Indian cuisine. I think they did a fantastic job. I think I don't know if he was an owner or the manager or whoever he was that waited on us. He seemed a little confused by us at first, but he liked the fact that we kept ordering stuff. And but you also were talking with him and inquiring. I think he got a little confused when you were talking about not wanting necessarily Punjabi Indian, and he's like, well, we don't. And I think he kind of was confused by that or almost offended, but I think he came around to realize, that's not what he was saying. And he was very helpful with descriptions afterwards and was all about us being there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason it's confusing, and it's part of the history of the British leaving India, right? So when the Raj ended in 1948, when the Brits basically left, well, they took a lot of their people, their cooks and everybody else, and they all went back to England.
Yeah.
Okay, which is why, by the way, Indian food, curry, it's called curries, is the number 1 takeout food in all of the United Kingdom. It overdoes pizza. It overdoes fish and chips. It's the number 1 takeout food is Indian curry food. Okay, so a lot of those people though were from Punjab, the one specific area, and it's known for what we would call the most famous dishes that everybody kind of knows about Indian food: chicken tikka masala, butter chicken, even the dal makhani, which I do love. That's Punjabi, So almost. And for a while, that was the only Indian food you could get, right? It's this kind of like Thai food almost today, where I call it the 7 colors of curry Thai. Right? You get red, whatever. So I really like to explore because I've been to all parts of India. So I really like food from different areas, like the Goan or the Kerala and stuff like that. Assam, Assamese food. So I was just asking if there was stuff that wasn't Punjab food, like your typical buttered chicken stuff. That's all. That's all I meant by it. And then I think he figured out that, these guys will just eat anything.
Yes, because yes, we will.
Yes, and yes, we did, actually.
Yes.
So we had some Hyderabad food, we had some Goan food, so we had a nice mixture of food from different areas, so that was great. So I think he was really happy. By the way, the interior, I thought, was really lovely. Yeah. I think it's a very relaxing, very nice wood interior based thing. So they did it nice. It's quite nice inside.
It's not real, but Ray and Leah both. It was they had some fabricated stained glass motifs, although it was just basically like wallpaper over with lights behind it. But the effect was nice. And they had, the fake plants and stuff in mirrors. They had a lot of tiny mirrors about that made it look more spacious. So the whole experience from beginning to end, food, atmosphere, company. I thought
excluding that one.
Yeah, I thought it was a great time, and I told my wife when I came home about it. I told Leah, I think I told you Thursday when we were at Mojito, and it's just, to the listeners, we really highly recommend, or at least I think I'm speaking for Stephen here, that we highly recommend the Katsuri Indian cuisine.
Yeah, most definitely.
So what's our next adventure?
That's a good question, since you've taken Mojito off the list.
No, I can still go with some Mojito. We didn't have everything.
We can go back.
It looks like you did, but okay. I would either say Mojitos or Taste of the Triad, because I definitely want to go try that as well. So one of those two.
Well, yeah. We want to try a Taste of the Triad. I'm really impressed with what Sabrina's doing up there.
Yeah. So we'll figure out someplace.
Very different than the Indian food.
Yeah. But not much different in spirit. Different cuisine.
You were describing the Indian food. I think you're right. Same spirit.
Yeah. Comfort food. Indian comfort food.
Yeah. So looking forward to either one or both.
Yeah. Well, I'm good for both. We'll talk in email and we'll schedule something. Stephen, as always, I really appreciate all you do with the show, because if I don't know something, especially Asian, I always contact you, and I get more emails from you than any of the other Street Team people saying, hey, did you hear this or did you know this? Because he knows that timing for us is everything, and as soon as we get off of the show, and then somebody announces things, because they can't announce it on Sundays, right? And so last week, I thought it was funny you were letting me know about Mojito, I guess. And,
yes, it was,
and I got the email after we had hung up with Michelle and Michael.
Which is great.
Yeah. So
for once, the timing turned out okay.
Yes. Well, they actually held the announcement until after they were on the show, but they announced it as soon as they hung up, not thinking that it was still going to be an hour or so after we got off the horn, but it all worked out fine. So, yeah. Well,
cool.
Thank you so very much for being here, and I hope to make this a common occurrence with you coming back on, because you're very knowledgeable about the stuff that we go to. Because really, we kind of formulate what we do around things that you have experiences with, because I like hearing the stories. That's why I like to. But thank you again so much for being here and all that you do for the show.
It is my pleasure as always, and Leo, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
so
nice
virtually as well, and Ray, it's good to see you again. So
always.
All right. Well, you all take care.
All right. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
You too.
And wash your damn hands.
Right?
That's
I
awesome.
wonder where he heard that one before.
Well, it just shows that he listens all the way to the end, right?
That's true.
I think that was very informative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so. And if people are taking notes, now they know what to eat.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or at least where to start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do some food holidays. Today is the 12th of October. It is Columbus Day observed. And actually, the day of Columbus' arrival to the Americas, more specific, the Bahamas, was October 12th, 1492. So this is the anniversary of that.
The anniversary of the downfall of the taking over a bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah, so someone says, so what do we do? Celebrate, like, taking over things that don't belong to you?
To us.
Yeah. Or do we, if it's, how do we celebrate this day? And here's the thing. Columbus wasn't the only one. He wasn't the first to come here and to discover who lived here. Amerigo Vespucci came before that. And obviously, if people were already here, they discovered it first.
Yep. 528 years.
All right. That would have been my 30th guess, I think.
I used a calculator.
Oh, okay, good. It's those modern conveniences.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way I know I got it right. Just my calculator told me.
Today, the 12th, is also National Gumbo Day.
Ooh.
I like gumbo. It's National Farmers Day, or Old Farmers Day. Conveniently enough for what we were talking about, it's National Pulled Pork Day.
What?
And to our friends,
Everything could work.
yes, and to our friends in the Great White North of the border, Canada, or Canada, as some people say. People who are wrong, but they say it. Today is their Thanksgiving Day. So happy Thanksgiving, eh? So in 1609, on the 12th, the English nursery rhyme Three Blind Mice was first published in the folk music compilation Deuteromelia by Thomas Ravenscroft. I saw how they run, but they didn't. They were blind. In 1810, on the 12th, the first Oktoberfest is held in Munich. Oktoberfest originated as a horse race to celebrate the marriage of the Crown Prince of Bavaria, later King Louis I, to Princess Therese von Sachsen-Hildburghausen. Today, it is a 2-week... No, it wasn't. Today is a 2-week festival ending on the first Sunday in October, during which more than 1 million gallons of beer are consumed at the Munich Festival. I'm pretty sure this year was a little less than that. On the 13th...
Well, you weren't there.
I wasn't.
You didn't take them over the...
I wasn't. I want to go. I have friends who have gone. Whenever I was a travel agent, I did schedule a couple of people who went for that. So the 13th is National Yorkshire Pudding Day. In 1921, did you say okay?
Okay.
In 1921,
I'm glad it's not Yorkshire Terrier pudding.
Yes, you got some Yorkie.
I call him my pudding.
So bring me some Yorkie pudding.
This seems like it's got a little bite to it.
Well, its bark's much worse. In 1921, on the 13th...
This could be a hairy situation.
It could.
Let it.
Oh!
This show has gone to the dogs.
Yeah, we need a hair of the dog.
In 1921, in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, the Daily Colonist, aka the British Colonist newspaper, coined the term cold turkey, in which it was used to refer a reference to quitting an addiction, the first known use of the term in print, and also a very good John Lennon song. Here's a big no, although I'll eat most anything. In 2006, Six Flags theme park in Gurnee, Illinois holds a live cockroach eating contest.
Oh, yeah. Yum Fest.
I think whoever did it got to go on Survivor the next day.
I'll say there's people survive the apocalypse.
Yes. Ugh, yeah. Well, keeping in that same vein, on the 14th, it's National Dessert Day and Chocolate-Covered Insect Day.
Oh, yeah. You know, why be blasphemous with chocolate?
Well, I think I've had chocolate-covered ants because they sold those in West Virginia. And I think I might have had a chocolate-covered grasshopper. I'm not sure. But
No.
I've had chocolate-covered peanuts and almonds and strawberries
and a chocolate-covered spoon.
yeah.
On the 14th, in 1926, Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne is published. It's tales about his son Christopher Robin and his stuffed animals, the honey-loving Pooh Bear, Eeyore the donkey, Piglet the pig, and Tigger the tiger. Now, here's a little trivia for you. The most popular voice for Tigger is... Yeah, T.I. was Paul Winchell. Do you know what other voices Paul Winchell was known for without Googling it, Ray?
I'm not Googling. No Googling. Both hands here. No Googling. No, I can't remember offhand.
He was Gargamel on the Smurfs. He was Dick Dastardly from Penelope Pitstop. He was from the Banana Splits. He was Fleagle. That's it. And also he was the owl in the famous Tootsie Roll commercial. Or Tootsie Pop commercial.
Oh. Yeah. How many licks does it take to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop?
A one, a two, a three. Yes. Yes. And also he has a patent for the one of the first artificial hearts. He invented it with Dr. Henry Heimlich, the inventor of the Heimlich maneuver. So,
what if Tigger could do that?
Yeah, who would have thunk it? On the 14th in 2013, Gary Miller won the 40th annual Safeway World Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off with a pumpkin that weighed 1,985 pounds.
That's a big one.
He took home a cash prize of $11,910 or $6 a pound.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's a lot of miracle right there.
Yeah. I had ex-girlfriend, high school girlfriend, whose dad was head of the horticulture program, and they grew pumpkins, and they had one that was 400 and some pounds, and I had to help get that onto the truck. That sucked.
Whoa.
Yeah. The 15th, as Stephen said in our little conversation, it's Global Hand Washing Day.
Yep.
So for the 15th and every day, wash your damn hands. We'll talk more about washing your damn hands here in a minute. It's the 15th is also National Roast Pheasant Day. It's National Mushroom.
It's under glass.
It's National Mushroom Day, not to be confused with the Day of the Mushroom, which is 4/16. It's National Chicken Cacciatore Day and National Cheese Curd Day. I like cheese curd.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on right there on that day.
Yes.
I'm busy that day.
You have to hand wash first, though, before you can do any of the other stuff.
Okay.
On the 15th in 1794, the first silver dollar coins were struck and released into circulation. It's like they struck it and they smacked it and let it go. On the 16th, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States marks World Food Day each year on October 16th, the day on which the organization was founded in 1945. It's also World Bread Day and National Liqueur Day. Now, National Liqueur, I would celebrate by drinking a liqueur that's not made in the nation. It would have been Grand Marnier, which is Parisian or France. On the 16th in 1793, Marie Antoinette, Queen Consort of Louis XVI of France, was guillotined. She would sometimes wear potato blossoms as a hair decoration. I have actually stood in the Place de Concorde, the square in which she was beheaded. Twice. I've stood there twice.
I was going to say she got beheaded twice.
No. I've stood there twice. Attributed quote for her is "Qu'ils mangent de la brioche," which is, "If they have no bread, let them eat cake." First, that does not mean cake as we know it. It's not like sweet stuff. She was probably talking, because it says brioche, isn't talking about brioche bread, which is still more expensive than regular bread. Second, she probably didn't even say that at all, and if she did, she was still a child when she said it and knew no better. There is no concrete documentation that she actually did say it. On the 17th, it's National Pasta Day. The International Raw Milk Cheese Appreciation Day. It's an international celebration of raw milk cheese and the individuals who bring it to life from the pasture to the plate. Which
that's oddly specific.
It is. It's International Archaeology Day. It's the Sweetest Day, which is always the third Saturday. So share sweets with those you care about, and it's primarily celebrated in the Midwest and Northeast. But you can do it if you want.
So can I share sweets with myself then?
You can, if that's one of your favorite people. That's one of my favorite people is myself.
Is it going to be chocolate?
You know it will.
If I'm sharing it, it's going to have chocolate.
Yeah.
It's going to be chocolate.
On the what day? The 17th in 1814, at the Horseshoe Brewery in London, the metal bands on a huge beer brewing vat snapped, and a tidal wave of 3,555 barrels of porter beer crashed through the brewery walls, destroying several tenements and killing 8 people.
Death by beer.
Yeah, I can think of many ways that would be a good thing. That would not be it. On the 17th in 1977, 6 days after my sister was born, the Guinness Book of World Records notes that Peter Dowdeswell managed to eat 40 sandwiches in 17 minutes, 53.9 seconds at a California donut shop. Each sandwich was 6 by 3 inches, spread with jam and butter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's it?
Amateur.
Jam and butter on toast?
Yeah.
Come on now.
He's such an amateur.
Let's give him one of those fair wheels from Food Freaks and see how many of those he can eat in an hour.
One. That's all you need, especially the doubles. On the 18th, it's National Chocolate Cupcake Day.
Good.
And in 1945, James T. Ealer, chef and food writer, was born, and that's who we get this food reference information from. And speaking of him,
it's James T.
James,
is that Tiberius?
I would hope so. I would hope so. And I've never heard him talk. But I wonder if he's like, James T. Ehler, chef and food writer, was born. That's me. My friends, my good friends. Stardate.
The hot come to the captain.
Stardate 436 point, rounded up to the nearest decimal point. Speaking of James, we want to thank him for his making us chuckle, roll our eyes, wishing him a happy birthday, talking about Winnie the Pooh, and wonder why people eat cockroaches and chocolate-covered insects. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to Less Desirables, Beer Dad's Fan Interference, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum, Tales from the Devereaux Diaries podcast, and others. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com, where you'll find social media links for each one there as well. We'd greatly appreciate if you visit our sponsors like Carrabba's Italian Grill, located at 587 South Stratford Road. And this is no chain. This is a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take the communities they serve very seriously. And for us, having a fantastic franchisee like Daniel certainly does not suck. Follow Carrabba's on social media and carrabbas.com.
And didn't something happen here recently regarding Mr. Daniel Butner?
Oh yeah, last Tuesday I believe it was. Was that the 6th Tuesday? Yes, and Winston-Salem marked it as Daniel Butner Day on October the 6th, which he sent me a picture of the certificate, the declaration, the decree, if you will. And I said, I said, every day is Daniel Butner Day to me. I said, but this is quadruple cool.
We love Daniel, but clearly the community loves Daniel and recognizes the good work that he's doing.
Absolutely. Washington Perk and Provision Company is located at 301 West 4th Street. You'll find a little bit of everything at the Perk, a chip corner, a deli to get your sandwich on the go, local fruits and veggies, meat and dairy, Bingo Bango sodas, Wolfie's custard, a wall of beer and wine, and more. Washington Perk is better than a convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they are Washington Perk, or at Washington Perk _DTWS on Instagram. The Humble Bee shop is located at 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the west end of downtown. You've not had good until you've tasted the treats and goodies that Brittany is whipping up in her shop, be it muffins, cakes, macarons, and more, many things gluten-free and vegan as well. She wants to challenge your perception of Scratch Made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. I think there are some things she's doing, upgrades to her kitchen, moving some things around, probably making it more better, which is a redundancy, but it's still it fits. For more information, follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit thehumblebeeshop.co.
That's SHOPPE.co.
It is. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's just good practice. And as Stephen said, wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash that soap for about 20 seconds or more. If you need a little guide on how long that is, just sing this.
So help me if you can. I've got to get back to the house at Blue Corner by 1. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the bees in the hive. Chase all the clouds from the sky. Back to the days of Christopher Robin and Pooh.
So a little tying in with the birthday of Winnie the Pooh. So I want to put that in there. All right, well, keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news or something you just need us to know or a correction or whatever you want, email us at either tim@themanwhoatetown.com, lee@themanwhoatetown.com, or ray@themanwhoatetown.com. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter instant messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are manwho8 the town. On Instagram, we are man8 the town. And now we want you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcasts or any podcast that you listen to on the TLD Pod Network. Tell us we're doing a good job. Tell us we suck. We just want to hear from you. You can call us 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-6862. Thank you to Street Team Stephen McDowell for being here and going over the Cat Series things with us. And thank you, Stephen, for all the support you show the podcast behind the scenes and the content that you help us with. We really appreciate you more than I could ever say in words. And that's all I have for today. You guys have anything else you want to say? Good. Well, my name's Tim.
I have one other word to say, but I'm waiting on my cue.
So who are you? Who are you?
He's Ray.
He's Ray.
No, I'm waiting on the last thing we say.
Oh, okay. And
my last word.
And who are you, other person?
I'm Leah.
Yes, you are.
Oh, you were asking me what my name was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's Ray.
I only said, who are you? Yeah, that's Ray. Ray Morgan.
There's
This name
Ray.
pastor.
Pretty sure.
Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas.
Yamas.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.